Perfect. Okay. So, Larissa is a clinical hypnotherapist and mindset coach who empowers individuals with MS and autoimmune illnesses to manage symptoms, overcome mental barriers, and reclaim their lives using holistic, natural tools. So, her mission is to help those with chronic conditions alleviate pain and create a fulfilling life despite challenges. So the workshop will help you learn how MS impacts mental health, hence the mental health workshop, World Mental Health Day workshop, including anxiety, depression, and cognitive challenges. It will teach you practical tools to manage emotional stress and improve resilience. It will teach you how to use mindfulness and breathing techniques to reduce anxiety, and also strategies to shift negative thinking and practice self-compassion. And at the end, I believe there will also be a guided meditation for relaxation, emotional healing, and restoration. So I'm very, very pleased to introduce Larissa, and I just wanted to say a massive thank you for doing another one of these workshops for us.
Thank you very much, Amy. It's lovely to be able to support others and to share from the knowledge that I have. So it's really nice to see everyone. I love to see a few faces as well on camera. So thank you for that. I'm just gonna start my presentation. So I'll share my screen now. And then, okay, so Amy has done a great job at introducing me. So you don't need to know too much about that. What I wanted to do is start by asking a question: what is mental health? And it's worth exploring what is mental health for you. Like, how do you know your mental health is good? How do you know your mental health is struggling a little bit? Things are not going well. I love to see just a few answers in the chat if you can think for a moment. Because it's always a bit different for everybody, actually. It can be so unique. And actually, when we have MS, the journey can be completely unique for us as well, even how our mental health shows up and flags up in a good way or in a bad way. So if you can write in the chat, how do you know your mental health is good? Or what signs do you notice when it's not good? What do you think? Those things. And maybe if there are any answers Amy can read as well. And so I'll just take a little minute to let you think on that.
Can you see the chat, Larissa?
Oh, okay, I can see it now. Okay, so I can see taking care of your well-being and feeling good in yourself. That's great. Motivation to do things, good mental health, feeling content, relaxed, stress-free. Those are really great answers. So I've actually looked up the term this morning and I thought, what does the World Health Organization say officially? So they define mental health not just as an absence of the mental disorder, but as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her potential, and you can feel that you can cope with the normal stress of life, you can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. Now, sometimes that can be a really high standard to achieve because we all have good days and bad days. But I thought it's worth presenting. And then I've also checked the Mind, the association, what they say. And I really like that they describe mental health in terms of behavior. So a good mental health is when you care about yourself, when you care for yourself, when you love yourself and not hate yourself, you look after your physical health, eat well, sleep well, exercise, and enjoy yourself. Now, of course, these things don't happen all the time, like every day. But what I really like is that you see yourself as being a valuable person in your own right. You don't have to earn the right to exist. You exist, so you have the right to exist. And you judge yourself on reasonable standards. You don't set yourself impossible goals, such as I have to be perfect in everything that I do, and then punish yourself when you don't reach those goals. I found this very relevant for people with MS because when we have chronic illness, the standards can sometimes shift for us because we're suddenly comparing what we do with others, and we're faced with a situation where the things that we used to do really well, the things that we used to know about ourselves, that we were capable to deliver really well, suddenly it changes. And that transition, that change can start to impact mental health. And it can start to feel like a loss of identity, like who are we now? We may even feel like we have to perform at a higher standard. We may feel like we have to work even harder than everybody else, even though we're feeling not so well. And what's really unique about MS is that it affects everybody differently, and that it's so many of the symptoms are so invisible. So people may not see that you're battling fatigue, or they may not see that you have double vision this morning and you can't see very well, but you're dealing with those things and you somehow have to perform at the same level. Those standards are not reasonable when we're battling something, but we may feel like we are still performing at the same level and that the world is expecting us to. So mental health can be challenging when we start putting the bar so high, even though our body is not capable to support it. And that's not our fault in any way. So how does MS impact mental health? There's a lot of things that can happen when MS is involved. So first of all, the physical symptoms. There can be MS-related nerve damage if your frontal lobe, for example, it's affected. So that's the part of the brain that is responsible for the control of emotions and expression. So sometimes you can feel that you're crying, maybe you're crying, you shed tears, or you're laughing, but you're not actually amused, or you're not having fun. You're crying, but actually you're not sad. You're just, your body starts to produce tears of cry. So when there's a disconnect between what we show outward, the emotions that we show outward, versus what we feel inside, that can be due to the MS-related nerve damage. And sometimes when different parts of our brain are affected that are linked to emotions, that's when we can feel that we're feeling out of place, that something isn't right. And maybe one day you're laughing and you don't want to laugh, but you're just laughing really loudly and you just don't know what's going on. So I wanted to address this because to some extent, it's an illness, and it's a challenge that it's the challenge that the illness will bring, that is good to be aware of and to not be taken by surprise. And it's not our fault if this happens as well. Now, besides this, there's also the emotional challenges that happen with having MS. We can experience anxiety and stress. Now, stress and anxiety are different things, but they're often used together, and sometimes the sentences they're mixed in the same sentence because they can feel so similar. So stress is when we're dealing with the challenges happening now, when we're feeling a threat in our environment. So suddenly having to deal with the financial pressure, suddenly facing job challenges at work, and then we're feeling stressed. How am I going to manage this? How you're going to deal with the situations in the family. If you have a sudden relapse of a symptom, or if your symptoms are manifesting in some way, then that can bring stress in the body because you're faced with the situation of having to respond in some way and to find a solution for this. If your body is not performing so well, there may be an accumulation of stress because suddenly you're faced with so many things that you will have to sort out. And it may feel overwhelming as well. So off the back of that, things can escalate. Now, anxiety can be a bit different because anxiety comes a lot from our thoughts about the future. So what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen in 5 years? Should I have a child? Should I not have a child? Should I get married? Will I ever get married? Will I not get married? Should I date someone? Should I be alone? Should I get a dog instead, or a cat? It's worry about the future, and it's worry that the symptoms that we have now, or the symptoms that could appear off the back of MS, will completely change our lives, and we can't anticipate that. So a lot of people with MS can find themselves trapped in this loophole of worrying about the future and the what ifs that they can't yet control. And with anxiety, it's very important when that happens to recognize, one, it's also a physical symptom. Sometimes it can feel like complete fear, complete panic, because the body is now feeling as if there is a threat right now in this moment that you're having to deal with. And when that happens, to find strategies to help yourself to like calm down the nervous system. And I mentioned that I can show you a breathing exercise later on that can support you, but there's many ways in which you can support anxiety, in which you can calm it down. And the most important is to recognize that anxiety feels like you're in danger. It's the same as stress to some extent. It can feel like the danger is here. And the body just needs to know that you are safe right now, and that those thoughts, they're just thoughts. It's not like a danger where a bear is going to jump on you and attack you and then you're going to be dead, or a tiger is going to jump out of a bush. It's not that kind of danger. It's simply a danger that says something may happen in the future and I just have to find strategies to deal with it. The way we talk to ourselves as well can influence how we deal with these challenges. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So that's anxiety and stress that can happen with MS. Now, another challenge that we can have with mental health is depression. Depression and MS is very linked. Most people who have MS, they also have depression at some point, and some people can have quite a severe form of depression. And I think research has found that 3 out of 4 people have it at one point in time. 3 out of 4 MS patients have it at one moment in time. Now, what's important to recognize, there are 2 aspects of depression. One, it can be off the back of the lesions that happen in the brain, some emotional disconnect in some way, maybe just some inability that the brain itself cannot cope with the situation, and that can be addressed with medication and talking to your physician and your doctor, your neurologist, and they might be able to give you something for that. And then there's the emotional aspect, the things that we can do about depression, which is being able to support ourselves in the best way, finding strategies to support ourselves, and recognizing if things are not looking great, to like go to a therapist or seek support. And just know that it's okay with that. The other thing that can happen as well, it can feel like depression, but sometimes when we have MS, there's a battle of like often a battle of losing who you were before, because now you're experiencing a symptom and this new person is unable to walk maybe anymore, is unable to think properly, the thoughts are blurry. And all of a sudden you're faced with that situation where you have to decide, well, who are you now, and can you still perform your job at work? And if you can't, then there's a loss of that. There's a loss of the relationship that you have with your colleagues, with your work, of who you are, of a sense of purpose. There can be a lot underneath that. So it's normal to experience depression at one moment in time when you have MS, and the grief and anger and frustration and all the other feelings associated with it. Okay, so there are many areas in your life that can impact your well-being. It can be even things like foods, lack of sleep, financial pressures, internal pressures, friends that are quite toxic, or family members that are quite toxic, and even news. So the hurricane that's coming in Florida, that's coming now, and that a lot of news are talking about it. It's like that can bring a lot of stress and worry as well, just by watching those news. There's nothing you can do about it, but that's still something that's unsettling, and it can worry a lot of people, especially if you have family members there. It helps to be able to look at the areas that impact you, and then to start to see what are the things that I can control and that I can do something positive about it to support myself in a better way. So with all those things, it's like when you notice that some of the things are challenging for you, just pay attention to when are you worried or concerned about areas that you cannot control in any way? When are you worried about things that there's nothing you can do about? Social media, future, to some extent you cannot do anything about it. And even like worries about work, you can't, there might be things you can do now, but you cannot anticipate how tomorrow will be. Things with sleep, maybe there are strategies you can do for sleep, but at the same time, if you're going to bed at night, there's no point in worrying if you're gonna fall asleep. You just have to trust that that will happen and deal with it if it doesn't, and the next day. So I hope that makes sense. So those are some of the areas around mental health that can impact people with MS. Now let's look a bit at strategies to improve resilience. I hope you're all following me so far. So when we talk about resilience, what comes to mind first of all is like, well, what does the word resilience mean to you? Feel free to write in a chat or contemplate about it if you don't want to. What is resilience? Like when a person is resilient, like you look at them and you're like, wow, you did it. What is it about them? And what makes a person less resilient? I'm just gonna look at the chat now. Being able to bounce back, that's right, feeling strong, how to deal with difficult situations, come back from difficult situations, yeah. Resilience is our ability to bounce back or to come back from hard situations and then to be able to carry on. And it's like an inner strength that we feel when that almost allows us to move forward. It's not our fault if we have days when we don't feel very resilient. It's simply just, and it's not like we're always a resilient person. That always happens. Like every day I am this resilient girl. That's it. This is who I am. This is me. Some people will bounce back better than others. Some people will have developed this ability due to the life challenges they've been in. And it's a muscle that we can always grow. But at the core of resilience, at the foundation of it, there are 5 things, 5 pillars that support resilience, and it supports our ability to navigate challenges. So the first one is self-care. Now, self-care is quite interesting because these days with social media and everything, people see self-care as taking a nice bath and putting some candles or just treating yourself to a holiday somewhere. But self-care can be so much more than that. It's about honoring our needs, first of all, and it's about being courageous enough to recognize when things are not working out for us and to treat ourselves with compassion on a regular basis as well. There are things like it's nice sometimes to go, have the bubble bath, light the candles, read a nice book, make time for yourself. Those things are necessary. But underneath that, it's more of a mental process that can happen when somebody is resilient. And then the second thing that is important with that is the self-awareness. So being able to observe actually what's happening in your mind, what's happening in the thoughts that you're having when you're feeling challenged, when the mental health is not feeling great that day, when you're having stress, anxiety, when you're feeling depressed. Being able to observe actually what's happening and to have compassion for that. Okay, I'm just gonna have a glass of water. So I would like to, I'll stop recording, no, I'll stop sharing for a moment and I'll get back to it. I want to take an example where I'll share a little whiteboard and we're gonna look a little bit at negative talk and what that is. So I am going to, can you see the whiteboard? I'm hoping you can. It seems like you can. If not, shout. All right, I have a pen now. So let's take a person that has MS. Let's take the example of, I'll do a little bad drawing, little stick man. Okay, so say his name is John. I'm hoping there's no John here, but if you are, sorry, John. So let's take John, and John has MS, and he's been having it for a while, and currently he's going through some challenging times right now. He's experiencing a bit of depression, things are not going very well. And John is living in this world of one having MS, but also being part of a family, part of work, part of a community. When John looks at the world that he's in, we can talk first of all that the challenges that he's having are physical. So if I am to draw a little circle, I'm hoping this. Okay. Oh, all right. So around John, one of the things that impact him is the MS symptoms. Things like fatigue and what's another one? Pain. And maybe loss of balance. So feeling a bit wobbly. Okay. At the same time, John is also battling depression. And then with that comes worry about the future. All right. Future, a bit of anxiety. So John is battling this on a daily basis as well. At the same time, his mind, his thoughts are looking at like what's going to happen. And John may find that with this physical symptoms of MS, actually his world is a lot bigger. So his mind is not just focused on what's going on physically, but actually his mind is focusing a lot more on thoughts about himself and identity. So John might be thinking, I will never get that promotion at work because he's feeling fatigue. He may be thinking, I wonder for how long I'll keep my job. When we experience fatigue, sometimes we can feel worried about how we're going to perform that day, how we're going to achieve the task. And then also with that, is our job going to be on the line? Will I lose my job? The moment John thinks, will I lose my job, and he worries about that, maybe he starts already thinking and spiraling, I'm going to get fired soon. I'm going to get fired soon. Things like people are going to notice. Now, all of this stuff is happening around him, so you can almost imagine these things and so many other thoughts on a daily basis just circulating around John in his mind all the time. I might lose my job. What am I going to eat? What will I get paid next month? If I do lose my job, then what am I going to do next? What way am I actually good at? It's like, I'm not performing that well. That report wasn't very great. I've made so many mistakes. My boss will know. My boss will see. I'm not walking very well. It's like people are noticing. People are looking weird at me. Those sort of thoughts just come and maybe they circulate. And what happens with thoughts is the more we have them and the more we let them just float around us without taking control of them and observing them, the more they escalate. So this circle that you're seeing that's happening now, that actually in time, these feelings can grow even more. To get bigger, and then so on, could make more circles. And suddenly the mind is more challenging, even bigger. But what can also happen is people start to worry as well about John, and people will start judging him too. And suddenly John is faced not just with his own judgments and worry about the future or his own thoughts about the world, but then other people are judging as well. So John is starting to be lazy now. I think he's lacking at that report. There were so many mistakes there. How can he do this? Surely the managers are too tolerant. He's not really himself anymore. I don't think he's being a good friend. He keeps canceling meetings all the time. Keeps canceling. We said we'll go out last Friday and he just canceled me last minute. Like, what kind of friend is that, really? And I messaged him and he didn't respond. So I don't really like him anymore. Those kind of thoughts can happen. And some people can suddenly say, oh, he's just a lazy guy. He just never does anything around the house. He's just barely he barely keeps up his room, for example. This world gets bigger and bigger, and thoughts can spiral to a point where it gets harder and harder to take control. So what can help in this situation to almost unpack these thoughts is to, when we find ourselves thinking one thing, like I will never get that promotion, one by one is to start challenging the thoughts and actually see what is the reality of that situation. It's like, I will never get that promotion. How certain is that this will happen? And to start to observe what are you thinking and actually how true that is at this moment in time. Now, this may feel very true, like saying, I will never get that promotion. Of course, I have fatigue, I have a loss of balance. Why would I? But another way to look at it is the moment we say a thought such as, I will never get that promotion, for the brain, it takes it as true. Even though it's something about the future, the brain sees it as it's something that happens in the present, and it starts reacting to it as if it's happening in the present right now. Things like, I'm going to get fired soon. This feels real. It feels so real that even if John is well appreciated at work, even if the manager said, hey, good job on that report, even if nobody is actually noticing about his loss of balance or the fatigue, it can feel so real. It's in the brain, in the mind, is going to completely overtake the world. So watching our thoughts becomes very important, observing what they say, and almost being so critical about what thoughts we allow in our mind that we start just pushing them away. And I know this is easier said than done, but the first step is that self-awareness, the ability to start to observe what are we actually thinking, what's going on in that situation. So I will close down my little whiteboard now. Bear with me. Okay, so back to my share. Does this make sense so far? Give me a thumbs up, some people. Yeah, okay, good. Following me. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So when I talk about self-awareness and emotional intelligence, that is the ability to observe what's going on, the ability to notice. And it sounds like a big thing, but actually it is a muscle. It's catching yourself when you're thinking one thought and just saying, hey, hang on a second, that's not true. That hasn't actually happened yet. So what's the point of worrying about it? I don't actually know if I'll get a promotion or not. Can I do anything about it? No. So why worry? Being able to almost argue back or just push it away in some way, just catch it. The more you develop that ability, the less likely it will be for you that all those thoughts will spiral and your mental health will decline. And with that comes mindfulness. So mindfulness is the ability to observe the thoughts, to observe around you. It's the muscle of observation. And I know there's a lot of hype about mindfulness. A lot of it is just about being in the present, being less in our head and more in our body, more around the room and around what's happening for us, what's happening around us. The fourth pillar of resilience that will help is positive social connections, positive relationships. Having people that support you, uplift you, strengthen you will help you to feel better, to get out, to escape that trap. Even if you're feeling anxiety one day, calling a friend and just sharing how you're feeling can massively help. Same with having relationships around you. The other thing, the opposite happens if your relationships are toxic. Being with somebody who's abusive, being with a friend that's just calling you names, treating you badly, that can take your mental health down, but also your MS symptoms may aggravate because the stress is so high when you're surrounded by people that do not uplift you. And the last thing that's really important for resilience, it's a sense of purpose and meaning. Now, purpose is such an important one, and a lot of us tie our purpose to our work, to our ability to do a good job, to our ability to perform and be appreciated, and to contribute in some way, either to work, to a project. And it can feel very tricky when we start experiencing symptoms that impact our ability to perform and do a good job, our ability to achieve that purpose that's currently happening. So maybe you like painting and then suddenly your hand starts trembling and you can't do it the same. That can feel challenging. So being able to tie yourself to a higher purpose, have multiple hobbies, or just be aware that this is important and it's important to have this in your life, it can make a massive difference for you. So I will continue. I've spoken about self-care, so I want, okay. So how to shift negative thinking. I've spoken quite a bit about that example of John when he thinks, I will never get a promotion. One important skill whenever we catch ourselves in our mind thinking negative thoughts is to notice when a thought is a judgment and to change that thought to an observation. Now, what I mean by judgment is simply like that, like labeling something without knowing it's true. So pay attention to words like, I never do that. You always do that. Never, always. This always happens to me. Those are red flags for us just making a situation completely like it's almost saying that the whole world is like this. It's not that this moment in time is bad, it's the whole world is bad. The whole timeline of your existence is bad because you say this always happens to me. That's basically what you're expressing. So starting to pay attention to our language can help us shift that negative thinking, those negative thoughts, into something different. And the moment we start changing those thoughts to just observing it to something slightly different, then we will start to feel a bit better. So an important skill is to change judgment talk to observation talk. So a way to practice this is to, when you see yourself saying, I always do this, it's to almost observe what has happened, like you're a scientist. So let's just say I'm struggling with balance, so maybe I dropped my mug because I bumped into the door. Dropped the mug on the floor. Oh my goodness, I've always do this. I'm just so clumsy. I can't believe I've done this again. I can never do things right. My balance is getting so much worse. My walk is horrible. I'm gonna walk in a wheelchair in a moment. So let's just say that my talk has escalated to that. Now, a way to change this is the moment I say, oh, I always do this, actually look at what has happened in the present and describe it. So describe the situation. So the situation is Larisa has dropped her mug on the floor. The judgment that I make about the situation is that I am somebody who her entire life has dropped mugs on the floor. Now, when you start changing the talk like that in your head, it almost becomes funny. Like it's almost like, huh? Really? I'm not somebody who always drops mugs on the floor. There are 99% times when I just carry my mug and I still have it with me. So it doesn't work. So the ability to almost describe what has happened. So if you find yourself tripping, you walk down the street and then you trip and then you will think, oh, I always do this, I'm so clumsy. You say, oh, what has happened? Describe the situation. I tripped, I stumbled on a stone, I fell down. That's it. Don't give it any more story. Don't give it any more metaphors, any descriptions, any colorful interpretation. Being able to just differentiate between the data and the story can completely shift how your mental health is. Does this make sense? Let's see. All right. I'm gonna, yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up so far. Good. So, data story, basically. I think if we learn this difference, I think is one of the most important things that somebody can learn. And data is quite interesting because when you start paying attention, even feeling tired, it's like, oh, I woke up fatigued again. You can just say, oh, I woke up, I slept last night, I went to bed at midnight, I woke up at 7, I feel tired. You just describe the data, basically. It's a very different experience. So what I'd like us to do now is to do a little guided meditation that can allow us to, first of all, get ourselves from our head into our body, to start paying attention first at what our thoughts are currently happening in this moment, and then I want you to also pay attention at just the emotions that are there, and then to see if there's anything that we can shift. If you've never had this experience, don't worry about it. So what I usually do is I ask everyone, even if you're on camera or not, to just make yourself nice and comfortable. So if you're sitting on a chair, make sure your back is nice and relaxed. Feet on the floor. If you're in the bed, that's fine. Make sure just your back is nicely supported on the pillow, head nicely supported. And you can be on camera or off camera, it doesn't matter. All right. So just make sure nice and comfy for a moment. That's good. And if there's anything that feels a bit iffy or like a little tension, you can shake it off a bit, shake your hands a bit. That's good. So just allow yourself to settle. All right. And then when you're ready, I'd like you all to begin by focusing on your breathing. So just take a nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. That's good. And then again, nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. And then on the next round, I'd like you to inhale for the count of 4 seconds. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold it there for 7 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then exhale, really long exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's hard. When you do this first time, it's quite hard. And that's okay. The more you practice, your lungs get bigger. So then again, let's just inhale normally. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Let's hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale out for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. And now hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And all right. And then just inhale normally. Take a nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. That's okay. So now you can allow yourself to relax now and breathe normally and calmly. You can choose if you want to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And as you do so, I want you to remember that this time is just for you. No one wants anything, no one needs anything. This is your time. So I invite you all right now for this moment to give yourself permission to relax and to start paying attention first to the top of your head, that brain, and all those little thoughts that are swirling around your brain. Is there anything that's lingering from the rest of the day? Anything that's still bothering you? Maybe you're thinking what you're gonna eat for dinner. Maybe you're thinking what's there to do tomorrow. And as you're thinking, as you're noticing those thoughts, I invite you to shift your attention to the breath and take a nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. And just imagine you're putting those thoughts away for a moment. You can even imagine putting them in a little bag somewhere, locking the zipper. It's okay. You can always pick them up later. Or just tell yourself, I'm going to think about this later. And as you do so, allow your mind to focus on the present, focus on the flow of the breath. And your body to start to relax more and more as your head is finding a nice, comfortable position. And as your attention is still lingering around the head, see if you can relax it further and further. Allowing your brain, your body, your thoughts to relax you. The eyes to sit still, more comfortable, more quiet. And imagine now that the flow of calming, relaxing energy is falling from the top of your head, pouring down on your head, on your scalp, and melts away any thoughts, any worries, any stress. Feeling it wash away as if you're just stepping under a shower full of relaxation, and this energy is falling down your body. Relaxing your head and all those little muscles around the forehead, around your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Relaxing you now. Relaxing the ears, relaxing, and all the area down the neck. Feeling this energy washing away that little tension accumulated from the day. And allowing the shoulders to relax so that the left shoulder and the right shoulder can clear out any lingering tension from the day, any stress, any worry. All that pressure you've been feeling this week, maybe feeling as if all the weight of the world is falling off your shoulders, and there's a sense of relief and relaxation. Your shoulders relaxing now more and more. And as they do, this energy continues to fall down the spine, along the back, washing away any tension, any stress around the vertebra, allowing every cell, every nerve along the back to find a sense of comfort and ease. That your spine can feel more and more comfortable, and all your back can feel nicely supported on that chair. Really finding a little ease, feeling as if this energy is washing away that tension, that stress. And your arms as well, feeling more relaxed now. The upper arms and lower arms relaxing further and further. That's right. Those little muscles around the upper arms, finding a sense of relief, releasing the tension, the stress. And then continuing down along the lower arms, hands, and fingers. And if there's any discomfort and pressure in your hands, feel this energy washing away, absorbing that discomfort, absorbing it from all over your body. Almost like somebody turned on a vacuum cleaner and is taking away, absorbing it from your body, clearing it away. And then your chest, all those cells around your lungs, around your heart, your internal organs are finding a sense of ease and relaxation. That's right. Your chest feeling more relaxed, and your belly feeling nice and comfortable. Your gut, your stomach breathing nice and easily as this energy is releasing, clearing out any fear, any remaining tension around your stomach. And your breathing feeling more relaxed, more easy now. As this energy continues down past your hips, along the legs, down, allowing each muscle to relax further and further, past your glutes and down the legs, all the way down, past the shin muscles, the knees, the calf, all the way down to your feet, until your left leg and your right leg are feeling nice and comfortable, nicely positioned on that surface beneath you. And if there's any discomfort still remaining in your body, you can imagine this energy is washing it away now. It's starting to search for it so that any remaining tension can be cleared out, released. And if your legs, your feet are feeling nice and grounded on that surface beneath you, I'd like you to imagine now that the energy is continuing down, traveling down past the feet, all the way through the floor, down through the surface of the earth, until it finds the center of the earth, all the way at the center, the heart of this planet. And when it meets that center, it's starting to absorb this energy and create a path upwards all the way through your feet, so that you're feeling this energy from the earth starting to climb up from your toes, your legs, higher and higher, traveling up your body, bringing a sense of relaxation, energy, strength, power, the power of the earth, the stability and strength and support, climbing higher through your body, past your legs, past your hips, your stomach, your chest, your neck, your shoulders, all the way up the top until it shoots out into the sky, higher up, so high up until it meets the sky, the planets, the center of the universe, connecting to all the energy around. And then traveling back down again, shooting down all the way through your head, your nose, your mouth, your neck, your shoulders, your stomach, along the spine, along the feet, all the way back, uniting with that energy of the earth. That you're right there at the center, where the earth supports you, the universe supports you, everything around you supports you and is there for you. And if there's anything you want right now, healing, empowerment, strength, confidence, it feels as if this energy is supporting you, starting that process to build you up, to empower you, making you stronger and more capable to deal with all the challenges around you. So you're feeling physically resilient, emotionally strong and capable, mentally recharged, and all the cells in your body starting the process of healing and rejuvenation, returning you to a natural state of health, that state when you felt the best, physically, emotionally, mentally, you felt your best self. Your body knows where that is, your mind knows exactly where that is, where that moment in time is when you felt amazing. So now everything supports you with that. And just continue to enjoy this feeling of being present in this moment in time. Noticing the flow of your breathing. Noticing how your body feels around. And then when you feel ready, we'll return back into the room, starting to notice the sounds around you, the room that you're in, the sound of my voice, opening your eyes slowly, moving around your body a little bit, shaking it off. Shake, shake, shake. Feeling nice, calm, refreshed. If you haven't fallen asleep, if you did, I'm sorry. As well. How did that feel? Good. Is everybody awake? We need a thumbs up. Good. All right. So, one last thing with mental health is we always have the power to observe our brain, to control our mind. The most important thing is to remind ourselves that we have that ability as humans to choose how we want to respond to the situations. When you have MS, things are challenging and you will be faced. Your body will give you certain challenges. The society will give you some. There might not be adjustments made for you. You can't control those things. You can't control what happens around you. And you may not even control what your family thinks, what your friends think, people that judge you. You can't control that. But one thing that you have the power to control is how you respond to a situation, how you choose to respond. The more you cultivate the muscle of choosing what you want to do, how you want to respond, the stronger you will feel and more capable you'll be to deal with challenges in your life and even the challenges of the illness. So even if they happen, you're able to still think, okay, this is happening today. It might not be like this forever. You're able to not stay stuck in that. And if at any moment you feel like you need to talk to somebody, a counselor, a doctor, somebody, always know that you can reach out for support. And you have that there. So don't deal with this on your own. And that's all I had to say. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. That was a really nice note to finish on as well, Larissa. Thank you.